Welcome in to the Punt and Pass podcast. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside a very special co-host on this Monday episode of Punt and Pass, my dad, Kevin Butler. That's right, College Football Hall of Famer, Chicago Bears legend, Super Bowl champion. Dad, I think this is your first time ever on Punt and Pass. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's the first time I guess you went to the bullpen tonight and have to pull out somebody.
Yeah, I asked like 18 people and you were number 19 and you said yes.
Always come to your dad for help.
That is correct. I am here for help. Jake Fromm on business, which we'll be able to report tomorrow on social media. So check us out at Punt and Pass on Twitter and Instagram. All good things. At Drew Butler. Dad is at The Real Butthead, puntandpass.com, the number one destination for all things college football. A pretty interesting weekend in college football. Week 5 is done. Georgia survives a scare. Some pretty great action in the SEC. A lot going on. Multiple coaches have been fired on this Sunday, Dad. Bryce Young went out of the game with an injury, Alabama's quarterback. Kansas is number 19 in the polls. College game day heading to Lawrence. We'll touch on all that. But before we get to that, this episode of Punt and Pass is presented by our awesome partners at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. That's right, at Solomon Brothers on Instagram and Twitter. SolomonBrothers.com, the largest diamond and jewelry inventory in the Southeast. The best thing about Solomon Brothers, Dad, is that the store is for anyone with any budget. And if you go there and mention Punt and Pass or mention Drew or Jake or Kevin, for that instance, you get 10% off your jewelry purchase, the lowest prices on the highest quality jewelry and diamonds guaranteed. Solomon Brothers is the best. 2 awesome locations, one in Alpharetta, just past the Avalon. The other's in Buckhead, Tower Place, 17th floor. And stay tuned because Solomon Brothers is launching a giveaway on Punt and Pass in the month of October. So check out our social media at Punt and Pass, at Solomon Brothers on Instagram and Twitter. Keep it locked in. We'll let you know what they have dialed in for our podcast listeners. We really appreciate Solomon Brothers, SolomonBrothers.com. All right, Dad. You were up late last night on the, what do you guys call it? Dog talk. You were on air until about 2 a.m. With Jeff Dantzler. What was the fan base like? Georgia survives a massive scare in Columbia. They get out of there with a 26-22 victory. We'll touch on that first.
Yeah, it's post-game, Dog Talk post-game, Georgia Bulldog Network, and me and Jeff have been doing it together for 14 years. And last night was a good night, no matter what. Anytime you win on those post-game shows, it's just a little bit easier. It was a tough game out there yesterday. When you go into the SEC, you go into these different stadiums, Drew, you know it, you did it. If you don't believe it'll be tough, then it's going to be tough. And I think it's just part of the growing pains that Georgia's going through with such a turnover and so many young kids. That was the first really hostile environment that a lot of them have ever played in. And, the whole time they're getting ready, they're looking at film going, oh, we can beat these guys. And that's just the worst combination possible. And we kind of saw what the product of that combination was in the first half. But I think they kind of got focused in the second half. I really felt like they took more control of the game. They still were having trouble getting it in the end zone and the red zone. But
yeah,
Pod, my gosh, he just had an unbelievable game. And we can talk about their kicker, Mevis, who just had another unbelievable game. And it was just something that was it was fun to watch because we came out on top. It was a hard-fought battle, very physical. I think they just overran our offensive line in the first half.
sure.
They outnumbered us, and they were quicker. They were more physical. But I think as the game wore on, our conditioning came into it, and we just put together, a 16-play drive, a 10-play drive, a 7-play drive, a 6-play drive, scoring on all possessions in the second half, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, it's a huge difference in the game, and you're right. Missouri came out firing on all cylinders. What a great atmosphere. I mean, whenever the number one team in the nation comes into your house and it's a primetime game and it's on SEC Network and everybody in the area has got the entire weekend really from Thursday until Saturday night to get ready for action, you're going to get their best shot. And I was just really surprised because it's been first time probably in well over a year where Georgia's offensive line and maybe even defensive line at times got dominated. I mean, they could not win in the trenches for the majority of the game. You know, everybody would say, well, Georgia got whooped by Alabama in the SEC championship game a year ago, but that was due to the fact of Alabama's skill players on the perimeter just absolutely blowing the game wide open. And Georgia didn't have an answer. Georgia tried to run the ball early. That obviously was not happening, and they continued to go back to the run game, which made me scratch my head in the first half. But honestly, in watching the game, I was never worried about Georgia losing. You know, there was a lot of times in the first quarter, first half, where there was a big third down and they would convert, and you're sitting there going, wow, if they didn't convert that, this could be troublesome. But you
Yeah.
knew that everybody on that roster, on that sideline, was in for a 60-minute battle. And you know that the game lasts 60 minutes, and Missouri played about 45 minutes of really good football. And that's going to be good for them to continue to learn moving forward.
Yeah, you can go back to the two big Alabama games, that we lost back in 18. And, I think we led for 58 minutes. I
Oh,
mean, you
yeah.
can do it, but you got to learn how to close. And
Yeah.
Georgia learned a little bit more about closing a game, coming from behind. As I went back, I was looking over. I think you have to go back in regular season for see a team that scored 28 points on Georgia. Missouri was one of those teams that done it twice.
Is
I
that
mean, it was
right?
53 to 28, and I think it was 49 to 26 a couple of years ago. So they've always been a team that scored on Georgia because they've got great athletes at skilled positions. But, their offensive line and defensive line just brought it the other night. Not so much on the offensive side, but the defensive side, they were just outnumbering Georgia up in the box. They had 8, 9 guys within 6 yards of the ball. And when it snapped, some of our younger linemen, they've never seen guys move that fast, and it showed.
So true. I mean, let me just read you some team statistics. We'll touch on some other things. We're going to come back to this game.
Yeah.
Georgia, 481 total yards. Missouri only had 294 total yards.
Yeah.
Georgia, time of possession, 35 minutes. Missouri, 25 minutes. Georgia, first downs, 28. Missouri, 14. Georgia, turnovers, 2. Missouri, 0. When you turn the ball over, you will have a tough time winning football games. Jake and I say it on the podcast every single week. You can go to any statistic. You can go to any analyst. You can talk about football all day, all night. If you lose the turnover battle, Dad, you're going to have a hard time, and you might as well lose the game.
Well, we've lost the turnover battle 2 weeks in a row. And we've
Yeah.
probably looked the most vulnerable in those 2 weeks. And that's something that you preach all the time. They got 3 points off the turnovers yesterday. That's
that was
just
huge. That was
it
huge.
was
I mean,
really
Georgia's
huge.
defense stood up big time on those turnovers.
Well, if you look at it, it's 102 yards rushing they had, I believe. And out of 2 of those runs, they had 91 yards. So
Malachi
you do the
Starks
math.
tracked down with that 1 yard line. I mean, how huge was that at the end of the game? That's massive.
That's a game-changing play right there from just pure hustle, not wanting to quit. And Malachi is that guy. I mean, he came in, and when we first got a commitment from him, he took on that leadership role with that class, and he is a special player. Anytime you can put somebody out on the
True
corner,
freshman, dude's a baller.
you put him
Yeah.
out in the corner in this league. I mean, he's going to see some things he hadn't seen when we get to the Tennessees, Kentuckys, the Auburns this coming week. People are going to have to start going at him because you look at the other side, you got Keely Ringo. Keely's almost getting bored. He got a penalty this past week because I think he just hadn't been challenged.
Yeah, very true.
He's one guy that is just a stud out there, and Malachi is certainly the bookend on that.
Yeah, he's been a great compliment to Keely. It's always a huge, huge testament to a DB when you never hear their name called in the game. And that's the kind of guy Keely is, because nobody just even tests him. He locks down guys. He's so physical. He can disrupt at the line of scrimmage, but then run like a gazelle. It's pretty talented dude. And obviously he's been a huge part of Georgia's defense so far. All right, we're going to come back to that. Let's touch on some other games that happened. Alabama beats Arkansas 49-26. They race out to a 28-0 lead in Fayetteville. Amazing atmosphere, 3:30 SEC on CBS. Bryce Young goes down. Nick Saban said he's going to be okay. Sounds like an AC sprain in his right shoulder. Alabama's kind of getting into the thick of their season. Tennessee's ranked number 8 right now in the AP poll. That game is coming up in 2 weeks. So interesting timing to see if they'll be okay. But Arkansas fought back, man. I mean, this game was the third quarter, I got to pull up the stat line in the third quarter, Dad. I don't know how much you watched of this game, but look, you turn the ball over in the SEC, or if you go to sleep for a second, Arkansas with the onside kick and they get the ball back and steal possession, things can change so rapidly. It does not matter how many athletes you have on the field. And credit to Arkansas, credit to Sam Pittman. They were down 28-0 and never blinked and almost got back in the game. And then Alabama and Jahmyr Gibbs took over.
Yeah, you know what? Sam Pittman's a wonderful coach. He's not going to let anybody quit on him, and you don't want to quit on that kind of coach. He's that kind of coach that brings that enthusiasm and that attitude towards it. The attitude just wasn't enough. I mean, Bama's strong. Bama's getting better. They've improved over the last 2 weeks to where Georgia has just kind of been status quo over the last 2 weeks, and we'll see a lot of flipping in the pollsters coming out now. Some have already popped out, but I think they'll go back and forth. If Alabama goes out and lays an egg somewhere and doesn't play good, people will jump that back and forth. There's not really any position that's going to hurt you outside of that top four. So, Bama's strong. Bryce, that's going to be something that probably lingers on. He's not going to get into some games now where there's some easy wins. They're going to be physical, even if they run away with it by the score. You might want to try to get Bryce out of there and protect him a little bit more. But any team right now that gets a shot at him is certainly going to take it.
Absolutely. Bama rushed out to a 28-0 lead. Arkansas got it back to 28-23 in the third quarter. They won the third quarter 16-0. But as we just said, football is a 60-minute game, and Alabama won the fourth quarter 21-3. They win the game 49-26. They cover as a 17.5-point favorite. And that was my only win inside the 5. I'm so bad picking games right now. I was 1-4 this week. That takes me to 6-20 on the season.
6-20.
No, 6-19 on the season. That's how bad I am against the spread. That's really bad on Punt
So
Pass.
I guess people should just bet the other way.
Well, that's what Jake did this week. So Jake went 4-1. He looks like a genius. He's like, I'm just going to go against you. And that's what he did. And he went 4-1. So credit to Jake Fromm. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good.
Clemson with a big nighttime win in Death Valley, 30-20. NC State came in as the number 10 ranked team. College Game Day was there. Clemson just took care of business. This game was on at the same time as the Georgia game. DJU playing much more consistently, taking care of the football. Clemson found a little bit of run game. Great game. Devin Leary, the quarterback for NC State, played well also. But this is kind of the Clemson teams of years past that you expect to see week in and week out. And nobody happier and more prideful than Dabo Swinney post-game. That man loves a microphone.
Boy, he does. He knows how to talk into that microphone. He knows how to push up that program. And they played great. They really did. They played crisp. They looked sharp. The little bit I did watch, I was impressed. I felt like they had finally kind of gotten back up to that point where teams were kind of intimidated to play them. But they came down and took business and took control of that business at their own stadium. You always want to perform that way when you have, game day there.
Yeah.
They've been going all day. The excitement was at the tip top. When you're out of it for a year like they've been, and you've been used to being there and winning national championships, that excitement's easy to make it start bubbling again. And that university's bubbling right now. They're playing some good football.
No doubt. NC State, 2 turnovers. 10-point game in it the entire way. 2 turnovers on the road. Not going to get done.
No, you can't turn that ball over. We can say it till we're blue in the face, but Georgia's
it's boring, but it's true. It's boring, but it's true.
It's just as you said. No matter who is talking about football, turnovers is at the top of their list. If they're if they got half a brain about football,
I'm not even kidding you when I say this, and I'd love to hear, your comparisons of Coach Ditka's days. But when we were in the playoff run in 2015 with the Cardinals, it'd be the biggest games. I'm talking NFC Championship game or against the Packers, and it'd be Saturday night in the team hotel. And Bruce Arians would walk in, and he would say, team, win third down, block and tackle, win the turnover ratio, go to bed. That was his nighttime speech. Like, it's as simple as that. And everybody would be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You simplify the game, You tell your 5-star players they got to play 5-star games, and you go out there and see what can happen. I mean, sometimes it is that simple.
Yeah, it was a little different. Dick could walk in and say, "You fucking turn the ball over, you're not playing."
Yeah,
And they say, "Okay,
that's it.
that's pretty
Yeah.
simple right there." And then, Walter Payton was great. He had a football in his locker that had a handle on it, like for a piece of luggage. And that's exactly what whoever had the last fumble in the game would have to have that with them until the next game. And if you were found without that ball holding on to it, you were fined and you would put it in. That
I
fine was
like
for the
that.
players, not thing. And that's almost sometimes you got to go back to that. I mean, Georgia's game, you get, we've got a breakaway going down the field, and our freshman running back, he's got to be aware of it. The only way you're going to finish and lose a football is from behind, and somebody comes from behind
Yeah.
and punches it out of Milton's hands. And those are learning opportunities. But boy, Coach Dooley was the same way. If you turn the ball over, you just weren't going to be in the game, and you were going to sit out and you were going to wait till the next week to try to get your next opportunity. It wasn't like a chance that. Well, I'll take it back. Herschel did fumble 4 times against Clemson, and I don't think he ever pulled Herschel, which is a pretty good move.
So that's a great point. Herschel, you said Herschel or Walter fumbled 4 times? Herschel
Herschel,
fumbled
my
4
freshman
times.
year, we went to Clemson. It was the 1980 national championship team, Georgia, and the 81 Clemson. No, I'm sorry. It was 81 Clemson. Georgia was defending national champs. So we went to Clemson, lost 13-3. We had
In
nine
81.
in 81. We had 9 turnovers. We had 5 interceptions and 4 fumbles from Herschel. 6 of them
Who
were
was the quarterback? Lastinger?
inside. No, Buck was the quarterback.
Oh my
The
god.
the story goes, this
Oh
is
my
great. The
god.
story goes, Tim Chapman was our manager, right?
Yeah, of course.
And the whoever was in charge of the ball, I think it was Gussie was in charge of the footballs for that game. He was sick or something. He wasn't there. And so the new guy got the balls out and he got them right out of the package
Yeah, just
and didn't
waxed
rush them,
over. Yeah, I
didn't do
mean,
anything. One of the interceptions was, Buck went back to
it's
throw
like
the
picking
ball
up
and
a
it
block of ice.
it just went straight up in the air. That was one interception. That was unbelievable. That was our only loss that year, and that's the year that Clemson won the national championship.
Wow.
So yes,
Wow.
turnovers are detrimental.
My only turnover story like that is 2012, my rookie year with the Steelers. We went to Cleveland. It was the week after, it was the Sunday after Thanksgiving. We had 8 turnovers, but we
Yeah,
lost the ball 10 times. So we recovered 2 fumbles. I think Rashard Mendenhall fumbled like 3 or 4 times. He was our starting running back. It's the
it
first
was
time.
weather.
No, God, no. It was just cold fall day. It was the first time the Steelers had lost in Cleveland. I want to say in like 10 or 12 years. And we were in a playoff hunt. So Mike T, Coach Tomlin, benched Richard, like didn't dress him the next game. You're not dressing. You can't take care of the football. You're not dressing. This is our starting running back. Rashard Mendenhall didn't show up to the game. So you're inactive. He just didn't show up, wasn't on the sideline.
Yeah,
Man, I've never seen a head coach more mad. That Monday after the game, I think we won. We had a team meeting and Coach Tomlin was like, I'm looking into every possible discipline that I could take within the rules of the NFLPA because, and Richard was in the team meeting because this guy did not show up to a football game. He did not show up for his teammates. I mean, I'm a rookie going, what the hell is going on? I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, if you turn the ball over, your ass is on the line.
yeah.
Simple
I
as
think
that.
that's. I guess that's just the mentality of football players because my good old buddy Jim McMahon did that to Ditka when Ditka told him he was nursing an injury and said if you didn't practice during the week, you weren't playing. So it comes Friday and he looks at Jim. He goes, "You're not playing. You didn't practice enough." Jim's like, "I'm trying to get them healed. I can still play." He goes, "No, you're not playing." So we're going to play the Dallas Cowboys. This is my rookie year. Um, Jim, Jim
Just
was a
didn't
no
even go,
show.
just didn't go to
Jim,
the visiting
no,
game.
he went on the trip.
Oh,
He
okay.
went and then we went out to dinner that night. And then he said he had some things to go do. I went back for bed check the next morning. No Jim. We get ready for a team meeting. No Jim. We go on the bus. No Jim. We get to the stadium. No Jim.
He's like, I'm not playing.
We're hey, and the second half goes, and we're probably up 36-0 on the Cowboys.
Is it
And
85?
this is 85. And then all of a sudden the crowd starts clapping at the other end. It's kind of like scattered clapping. And I look down there and here comes number 9 walking in his cowboy boots, jeans. He's got his glasses on, walks right up to me on the sideline, goes, "Hey kid, how you doing?" I go, "Where the hell have you been? They have all been asking me where you're at." He goes, "Oh, I just been at the pool." He was with some friends at a pool all night. So it was awesome. But yeah, when you tell them they're not going to play, it hurts
Hey,
their feelings. And if
yeah.
they're gamers, we know the right thing to do, but sometimes the wrong thing is the right thing.
If I'm not playing, then well, why show up? Why waste everybody's time? Wow. Yeah. There
Yeah,
you
it's
go.
like Spicoli.
It's
My
exactly
my
right.
time is your time.
That's exactly right. Oh, all right. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Ole Miss 22, Kentucky 19. This is a very interesting game. Again, turnovers back and forth late in the game. Will Levis, who's just getting all sorts of love. I really don't understand it. Kentucky's never won a meaningful football game. Their Super Bowl every year is week 2 against Florida. They can't get it done in Oxford. Lane Kiffin post-game master troll, giving his defensive coordinator all the credit in the world. I don't know if you saw this, Dad, but pre-game all week they were saying Will Levis, number 1 quarterback, number 1 draft pick, and Lane Kiffin after the game goes, I just got to give a lot of credit to my defense. I mean, our defensive coordinator held the number 1 draft pick to 19 points. That's pretty special. So he just doesn't miss a
He's
beat. But Ole Miss looks good, man.
Yeah, they do. Well, they're tough. We went down there when I was coaching with Kirby and them, and they absolutely ran us out of the house. When they start getting going, that stadium's a tough place to play. Obviously, the Grove gets everybody primed up, so they're in good shape in the stands. And um, you know, I think Kiffin is just a great coach and a great personality for that team, and
Yeah.
they seem to respond to it. And he's going to cause a lot of teams problems. And he's kind of like the other fellow right over there in Mississippi State. These two
Yeah.
guys are changing the look of that Mississippi State right now, and both of those football teams are just tough opponents to play, especially when you have to go to their stadium.
No question. Mississippi State with a huge win over Texas A&M at home. Texas A&M. Did you see what Jimbo Fisher's buyout is if that were to happen? Guess.
70 million. I'm guessing 70.
$86 million if he were to get bought out. And Paul Feinbaum is reporting that supposedly A&M boosters are rallying the troops to be ready to roll if that were to be needed. But $86 million if Jimbo Fisher were to be bought out. Texas A&M is 3-2 now with an SEC loss. Mississippi State beats them 42-24. Mike Leach has an amazing post-game press conference on the field
Yes.
with Alyssa Lang about marriage. It's a great question by Alyssa Lang on SEC Network. Go find it on social media. LSU beats Auburn in a wild game, 21-17. Auburn's obviously playing Georgia this weekend. Brian Harsin on the hottest of hot seats. Speaking of hot deals at Solomon Brothers Jewelers, Dad. You got to head over to Solomon Brothers Jewelers. 2 awesome locations. One in Alpharetta, just past the Avalon. One in Buckhead. 17th floor Tower Place. If you haven't been to Solomon Brothers, you got to go. And here's the best thing. Say it's a Sunday afternoon. You want to do something special for your other half. Take her there. They have a full bar inside the showroom and they have TVs.
Bar.
So the guys can sit down and drink and watch football while the ladies are shopping. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
That is brilliant. That is a winning combination for Solomon Brothers. I guarantee you that.
Absolutely. And then if you go there and mention Punt and Pass or Drew or Jake or
Get a
Butthead, you get
little get a
10%
little
off.
little change off. That's
It's
pretty good.
amazing. It's absolutely the best at Solomon Brothers on Instagram and Twitter. SolomonBrothers.com. The biggest selection, the best quality, the lowest prices, and an in-store experience that is totally unmatched. Wisconsin fired Paul Chryst. I don't know if you saw that. Wisconsin, so that job's open. Jim Leonard, the alma
Well,
mater defensive coordinator, he's stepping in. I would imagine he's probably in line to be the next head coach. Colorado fired their head coach, Carl Durrell, and their defensive coordinator, Chris Wilson. So that's another job that's open, a Power 5 job. Bama's ranked number 1. Georgia's number 2. KU's number 19. College game day heading to Kansas this weekend, which will be awesome. So College game day is going to be in Lawrence, Kansas. Let's put a bow on
Yeah,
this
I'm not.
Georgia game, though.
Uh,
Go ahead. What are you going to say? Any?
I don't know where this coaching corral will go. There's so much money out there, and these contracts are where they're just stupid. 80 something $1 million buyout, and
I was in
the
a group
coaches
text
are really
today
not.
about.
They're
I
not
was in
held
a group
accountable.
text today about that $86 million buyout. And I cannot say on air what we were saying that we would do for $86 million, but it was getting pretty inappropriate, as I could say. But
I'm sure.
$86 million to go away. Jimmy Sexton, as the puppet master of the SEC head coaches, to be able to play off one another, to be able to leak news and say, this guy's going to go here, this guy's going to go there. And that's like a monopoly. And it's amazing. I mean, credit to him. But like, as you said, $86 million buyout. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's insanity.
It is insanity, but there are plenty of people down in Texas. There's plenty of alumni, and you could probably point to one, two, or three who could stroke that check and not even worry about the newspaper getting to their lawn the next morning. But I just think it's bad money going after bad money. When a coach doesn't perform, and it's pretty easy to see the product that these coaches develop now. When they are not up to par, there's got to be some accountability. And right now, the only accountability is just back at the school to pay them to get rid of them.
I couldn't agree more. I want to liken it to Premier League soccer for just 1 second. Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson, longtime manager there for how long? 20 plus years. They won
Yep.
championship after championship. He steps down. Manchester United has all the money in the world. They can go pay whatever player they want. They can go pay whatever manager they want, who's the head coach. And they have not reached that same level of success because the success starts from the top down. It's pretty clear Jimbo Fisher is not the answer at Texas A&M. It does not matter how much money there is, whether it is coaching contracts, whether it is facilities, whether it is NIL money. It starts from the top. That's why I think the parity in college football is a little bit out of whack. You see the programs that have leadership like a Nick Saban, like a Kirby Smart, like a Dabo Swinney, like a Ryan Day. What they do, the process, the results that they create is a product of the leadership that they have. And that, of course, is not there at Texas A&M right now. So it'll be interesting to see what
No, it's
happens.
not. It's not. You know what? And I think a lot of these players, whether they're getting the big money or getting things, they might just have a little less of a attitude that, um, I think equals them caring a little bit more. And when things are going bad, they can kind of just shrug it off. Well, I still got my things going on.
Yeah, that is
Um,
true.
and I think that's the way it is in the pros. You know that.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
getting paid while you're playing, and when you're not playing, you're not going to be paid. And I think somewhere in this NIL space, and you certainly know better than anybody, there's going to be that bell curve, and it's going to start coming down a little bit because you've got to make a much wiser decision instead of just throwing money at the 11th and 12th graders, expecting them to be the next big thing. Um, Sophomores, juniors, seniors, even some freshmen. Those are the people that you can count on. You understand their
Yeah.
maturity. You understand what they can handle, what they can't handle, and because it's going to be a direct reflection on that head coach.
Yeah, no doubt. Totally agree with that. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Excuse me. A couple more final thoughts on the Georgia game. I was really surprised at Georgia's first 15 plays. I felt like they were forcing the run game a little bit. I was shocked at how they went into the game. I don't know if it was a thought process of we're going to prove that we can run the ball or we're going to show that we don't need to pass. But to me, it was like, why fix something that's not broken? All week long and for the last 4 weeks, all I've been hearing is Georgia needs to run the ball more. I'm concerned about Georgia's run game. Georgia hasn't proved they can run the ball. Well, they don't really need to, right? I mean, their swing passes and short to intermediate and working guys like Ladd and Brock and the running backs out of the backfield is an extension of the run game. That opens up the pass game and it opens up the ground game as well. Missouri's defensive line was whooping Georgia's O-line's ass, and that hasn't happened in such a long time. And they just looked lost at the beginning of the game. I was confused at that thought process heading in. And then when Georgia finally was trying to stretch the field and they were converting those 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 12s, you start to see the offense get some life. I was like, why don't you just trust that to soften up the defense a little bit?
Yeah, I just think that they do go in with game plans and they stick with it that first half. They don't do a lot of adjustment running in that first half, but certainly when they get in there at halftime, and I can speak from experience, those coaches get in that room. There are direct orders from Kirby to the
Yeah.
offense to the defense to the special team. This is what we're doing now. This is the changes we're making. I had never been in there, even when we're winning, that there were not changes made in that room. And I really believe that's where it all comes down to. If coaches can go in and make those adjustments, maybe swallow a little pride, maybe say, okay, it's not working. We got to go with something else. I think when there's good communication with all those coaches, when the OCs, DCs can speak to the head coach, position coaches, who's playing good, who's playing bad, it happens in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's very
That's
quick.
that communication process, and then they break and go. And I think Georgia did a good job of saying, "Okay, we're doing this right, we're doing this wrong. Let's work on this." And certainly, when they opened it up and threw it down, that opened up everything. But you know, they tried to play them man to man, bring two tight ends, and just like you said, Missouri with their 8 guys on our 8 guys were
It's
just
no
whipping us.
contest. Yeah. How much money would it take for you to stand still and have Darnell Washington with a 20-yard head start jump up and knee you in the face? 6'7", 270 pounds. The
And I,
man literally Mortal Kombat kicked some dude in the head and knocked him out of the game. That was that was
well,
amazing.
I can have my helmet on, right?
Yeah, you can have your helmet on and
I'll do
shoulder
it for,
pads.
I'll do it for this. Better than Jimbo. I'll do it for 85 million.
There you go. And then how about when Darnell caught like just caught the ball and then turned around and the safety tried to tackle him
Jumped
and
on it. Yeah,
literally got
bounced.
thrown 4 yards behind. And Darnell kind of
I
just like
came.
looked and he was like, what just happened? The kid flew 4 yards away from him just by making contact with the guy.
Yeah, he was my offensive player that I do for Bulldog Illustrated. I made him my offensive player this week. He had 3 catches for 63 yards. He's averaging 18 yards a catch right now for the season. And what's so funny is I bet, and we were looking at they about 12 of the average 18, 12 are yards after the catch.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's dragging people. People are going for bus rides on him. The big tower of power just takes people downfield, and he's really become a darn good blocker, and that's really where he's going to make the
He
difference
takes a
for
lot
his
of
next
pride in that
level.
too.
Well, he has to, because last year he didn't, and you didn't see him much on the field. We always go, "Where's Darnell? Where's that?" Well, until you learn how to block, and you know it, I don't care what position you are, you've got to block. Kirby demands it. Whether you're a receiver, you've got to block. You got to do both, and Darnell does both really, really well now.
Yeah, on the well, one more offensive player I want to talk about. Well, let me ask this question to you first. If you had, if you're gonna, if say let's say you have 75 plays of offense in a game, and you're gonna run the ball 45 plays. So let's split those carries up between 3 running backs. Who's getting the most carries? Kendall, Kenny, Dejon Edwards.
Dejon Edwards.
Really, you're putting him
Dejon
one?
Edwards. I'm putting him at 1 and 2 right behind him. Maybe a carry or two behind him would be Kenny.
Yeah,
And then Kendall would be the third one. The reason I say that is I think as we get into the SEC, we need that running back that can go between the tackles and get the extra yards by pushing forward. Nobody's stronger to do that than Dejon. He gets down low. He's very
I
hard to
like that
tackle,
idea. Yeah,
and
tough to
he gets
see
you to
too.
3 to 4 yards. Tough to see, tough to grab hold. Kenny it hits
I'd
that
put
hold
Kenny one.
fast
I would put Kenny
slasher.
ahead of Dejon. Dejon two, Kendall three. But yes,
Now it really just really depends on I'd put Kenny first if I was going to be getting outside a little bit more. That's my swing back. That's my back that's going off the tackle. And then Milton, I just want him to learn how to run better. He just reminds me of a great running back that we took in the first round when I was with the Bears, Brad Muster out of Stanford. Just a great running back, but he ran straight up. And, maybe 6 years into his career, his lower back had been bent back so many times he was having horrible back trouble. And that's what, you know, Milton can get down, learn how to get behind his shoulders and use his body a little bit more than being standing straight up. When he's standing straight up, he's just the easier target. He's easier to trip. When you're lower to the ground and you're in control of your body, you have much better balance too. So those two things really make the difference in number 2 and number 3. I think there's a big difference between 2 and 3 on this team.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Much prior to other years. We've been 4 and 5 guys deep before through injury. We're a little lighter this year at running back.
Yeah, Kendall's best run this year is touchdown run in week 1 against Oregon. There was traffic in the backfield. He was forced to get low to the ground. He made 2 guys miss, ran outside, scored a touchdown. He was forced to get low. Like, that was it. You saw the explosiveness. You saw the elusiveness. He had to be low. He got below kind of the waistline. That was his best run of the year. When 2's in the game, I don't think defenses are afraid. I think when 6 is in the game, Kenny McIntosh, they have to worry about him out of the backfield. And I think when 30's in the game, they're like, hey, if we don't get a hold of this dude, he can take it for 80 yards. So I would agree with you.
And you put 30 and number 2 in the backfield. Now you're keeping a defensive line a little bit more honest because they know you can hit between the tackles. And then also you got a great blocker in Dejan. And that's one thing you really have to know when we do those quick pitches or we do a slide handoff to the right or left and we get a lead back. That's the old days of a nice fullback. And even though he's not huge and big and intimidating, Dejan will knock you to the next week if he gets a shot on you. So they'll find that combination. They're working better with it, but we need all 3 of these guys to always contribute, and that's going to be a big factor for Georgia going down the road.
I'd love to see Nolan Smith a little bit more active as well on defense. I mean, he had a couple big plays, but I'd like to see him be a little bit more consistent. Hopefully Jalen Carter's okay, but the defense really stood up big in the second half. Let's wrap things up. Special teams-wise, Missouri's kicker. I mean, this guy, he was stroking it last night. 52-yarder, 56-yarder, nothing but net. A bigger fella as well. A lot of respect for that. And what did you say? Somebody called in to the Bulldog Brunch this morning and said, you need to be coaching him because why?
They said if you were coaching Mevis, your hashtag would be Mevis and Butthead. So
nice.
that's pretty good.
Guy's but
I said it in pregame. I said, after that miss last week, I know what that's like. You know what that's like. You're waiting on that first kick all week long.
For sure.
It's just the worst thing. And after his first kick, man, he gave himself a little pump fist. And I was watching him and I said, okay, well, he's in a groove right now. He's focused, and what a great performance. And then Jack,
great. He's kicking up. Great.
I mean, he's kicking great. Anytime you get 4 for 4, and then you also got to remember we faked one. Also, we faked one to try another one, but conversion was key. Making every kick was key in that game. That's how they were hanging with Georgia. And Georgia knew if we got in the end zone, it was going to be a different ball game, and Georgia was able to do that. And that was all put together by having a good special team, and those players doing their job. And Jack, he did a great job. Both kickers did a great job this week.
No doubt, a win is a win is a win is a win.
About as simple as that.
So that is the
truth. People are much nicer at 2:30 in the morning after a win than they are after a loss. I can tell you that. That brown liquor makes them a little bit honorary.
Yeah, I didn't have any brown liquor last night. I had a couple glasses of wine, watched a little SNL. I heard you and JD for about 30 minutes, fell asleep on the couch, then went upstairs. But yeah, look, man, that's just what it takes. That's exactly what it takes. Bruce Arians used to say that. Bear Bryant told him, what was the line? Like, hug them when you lose, but hug them harder when you win. Like, get after their ass when you win, because that's when you have those teachable moments. And Kirby's had 2 really good weeks to kind of do that. So Auburn coming to town this weekend, 3:30 kick. Good for you and Jeff. A little bit more easy on the schedule there. But, man, been great having you on the podcast. I could talk to you all day long. It's not like I didn't see you a couple hours ago.
Well, it was a good day. It
What do
was
I owe you
a
for
fun
this?
day.
What happened on the golf
Um,
course on Thursday? You played awful. God.
well, I played awful. That's the worst I've played, and I don't know how long. So I'd like to thank you for it. You intimidate me, I guess. You hit the ball so far. It just
Long and straight
yeah, it
gets
was
boring
ugly.
sometimes.
It was ugly. It was ugly. But I'll play it again this Friday. We have the Bulldog Open
That's
up there
right.
before so we'll be out there on Friday at the UGA course, having a great time for Chris Hack and the Georgia golf team, raising some money for them. And then there'll be a lot of parties around there. This is really the first
Yeah,
big game
I know.
in
God.
Athens in quite a while. We've, thank goodness for our fans that still support us, because the schedule just hasn't been one that you get excited about in preseason, because there's some Kent States, there's the other schools that we play, but we got Auburn coming in, we got Tennessee coming. It's about to get good in the SEC.
Yeah, what was Georgia's biggest game late in this season last year? I'm looking at the schedule right now. Charleston Southern. Hold on.
Yeah.
Missouri. Literally, the last home games at Georgia have been Missouri, Charleston Southern, Samford, Kent
And
State.
Kent State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome Auburn. About time. All right. Well, that'll do it for us on this episode of Punt and Pass. It's been a lot of fun. Follow Kevin Butler at The Real Butthead on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Punt and Pass. I'm at Drew Butler. Jake is at From Jake. Be sure to follow Solomon Brothers at Solomon Brothers, SolomonBrothers.com on Twitter and Instagram. Solomon Brothers Jewelers is simply the best, the lowest prices on the highest quality jewelry and diamonds guarantee. They also offer interest-free financing options. They have custom jewelry design, lifetime diamond upgrades. I've already told you about their beautiful stores with the amazing service. It's the store for anyone with any budget. Just mention Punt and Pass or Drew or Jake or Butthead. You get 10% off your jewelry purchase at Solomon Brothers on Instagram and Twitter. SolomonBrothers.com. They have a giveaway on the podcast coming up in the month of October. So check us out at Punt and Pass. It's the largest diamond and jewelry inventory in the Southeast. Solomon Brothers Jewelers. Dad, thank you so much, man.
You're
Go
welcome, buddy. Love
Braves.
you.
What's the
Talk
score
to
of
you.
the game?
They were losing
9
3-1.
p.m. Okay. Well,
they were losing 3-1 in the third, I think it was. So we got to go in there and put the rally caps on.
All right, brother. At The Real Butthead, at Drew Butler, at Punt and Pass. We will talk to you on Thursday. See you.
Bye-bye.